Welcome back again, folks. Now that we have our equipment screen designed, let's set up the functionality so we can start swapping our character's weapon. So, first thing I want to do is actually create the weapons. So in our blueprints folder, under equipment, in our swords, if you still have an iron sword out here, all I've done so far is I've just deleted that one. But I'm going to grab this one, duplicate it, and call it iron sword _ BP. Double click to open that up. Set its sword damage to 4 and its attack range to 175. Then in the viewport we'll set its skeletal mesh. The one I'm going to use for the iron sword is in the weapons pack. This is free from, I almost said from Blender, but not Blender, Epic. Free from Epic on the Unreal Marketplace. And I'm going to use the SK sword. So I'm going to take it in here, drop it in, and I'm going to just flip it over because this one's upside down as compared to the others. And then flip it 90. I'm going to compile that real quick. Come back out here, go back to my swords. I'm going to grab my wooden sword again and duplicate it. I'm going to call this one Steel Sword _ BP. And for the other ones, we'll be using the Infinity Blade Weapons Pack. So under the swords, I'm going to go to my swords folder in the Weapons Pack under Blade. Nope, not Static Mesh. And then filter Skeletal Mesh. That way I can see all of them. And if I remember right, I think it was Glimmer that I wanted to use. Looks nice. Let's take a look at a few of the other ones. There's the ultimate sword I'm gonna have. So, for all of this, in between this one and this one, I'm gonna go with this one. Blade 11. Okay, so now, in our swords, open that up. Go to my skeletal mesh, SK sword, let's see, sword 11. And set that up. It should already be right exactly the way we want it. So I'm going to set its sword damage to 7 and its attack range to 200. And then I'm going to do one more, duplicate my steel sword, call it Dragon Blade _ BP. Open it up. Out here I'm going to find that sword that I wanted to use, browse to its assets, go back to my Dragon Blade, and just plug it in like that. It automatically applies it. And I'm going to set its sword damage to 10 and its attack range, I'm going to just leave it. 200 works. So now in our equipment screen we want to go to our sword buttons. Come all the way down to the on-clicked event. And what we want to do here is drag out get our player reference and set current weapon. We want to set that to our wooden sword. Then we want to drag off and find out if our equipped weapon, if we have our sword drawn already, and find out if it is valid. And if it is, then we want to destroy that actor so that we can, let's drag off the player ref and get mesh. All the words tried to come out at once there because we're going to need this in a minute. So if it is, then we want to spawn actor from class, the class being our weapon we just set. We want to get weapon from our mesh, I guess, get weapon socket. Let me take a look real quick. Mesh, get socket transform. So from the mesh we want to get socket transform. And the name of that socket is weapon socket. So weapon socket. Plug that into the transform. Drag out another player reference. Set equipped weapon to our newly equipped weapon. And then attach to actor. We want to attach our equipped weapon to our get mesh or I guess the player ref works. Alright, don't get the mesh. Socket name, weapon socket, and then set all of the rules to snap to target. So let's, well, I guess we can't test that out because it won't change nothing because we'll have that one equipped. So iron sword, let's scroll all the way down. I'll scroll this back a little bit and I'll just box select everything, Control C, Control V, and plug it in. Then we want to change our wooden sword to iron sword, and that should change everything that we needed. So now we can test it real quick. So pull out my weapon, go to my equipment menu. What in the world? What did I mess up? Weapon, sorry, transform space, maybe it's that. RTS world. Attached to component, okay. Not attached to actor. Get mesh, that's my bad. Get mesh, attach to component. We want this to be attached to the component, and then snap to target, snap to target, snap to target. Socket name being the weapon socket. Control C, Control V. Just delete that. Plug that in, plug that in. Get mesh again, and plug that in. So now let's try it. Pull out the sword, full screen. Iron sword, there we go. Well, it doesn't look like it's in her hand. But that's an easy fix. All we gotta do is in here, since it looks like it needs to drop down and back a little bit, I'll just move it back here, and then down. Compile that. And that should be all that took. Yeah, that looks more like it's in her hand now. So that'll work. So now in our equipment screen, in our designer, we'll get the steel sword, drop all the way down to its on-clicked. And now we can just box select all that, Control C, Control V, plug it in, and change it to steel sword. And just for, instead of testing it right away, we'll do an on-clicked for the dragon blade, Control V again, plug that in, and set it to dragon blade. That should be all we got to do for that. So we'll test it out real quick just to make sure they all spawn appropriately. Iron sword, steel sword. Looks like that one needs to drop down a little bit too. Dragon blade. Looks like they all need to drop down and back a little bit. So steel sword, down, back, compile. Dragon blade, down and back. The way I can tell which way is back and forward is the green arrow. The green arrow is always forward, so just move it back a little bit. Now we'll take another look-see just to make sure. Iron sword, looks good. Steel sword, maybe dropped it down a little bit too much, but they're both at a decent point for her hand. So I'll just lift them both up real quick a little bit. Compile. up a little bit, compile. Now another thing that we want to do is we'll notice that when she equips her weapon, her strength stays the same, even though this is having an effect on her strength. But that's a really quick fix. It's actually already being applied, it just isn't being represented. So we'll go to our HUD elements in our menu, and right here under strength, where we have the variable applying, we're getting our text from our player. For me it's getText4. So in my graph I'm going to find getText4, and where it says base strength, I'm just going to drag it back. Get sword damage modifier. Then I'm going to integer plus integer and plug that in, and now it'll update according to our base strength and our equipped weapon. So right now it's at 2, I equip this, it's at 4. I go to Dragon Blade, it's at 12. And now that I've lifted it up a little bit, it looks like it's better in place. Let's check the steel sword though. Looks like it needs to move forward a little bit. Steel sword forward. There we go. Okay. Now for the shield, we basically do very similar, except for what we'll do is in the equipment screen. Had to test something real quick. So we'll go down to the on-clicked event. We will drag out our player ref, get our shield, and then we will set static mesh. Now for this one, what is that shield called? Oops. Just shield, and it's part of the weapon kit, just like that sword we had. So in my equipment screen, I'll just plug that in and it'll set it to that. Now we have one more shield, fancy one too, look at that. So in our equipment screen, on our iron shield button, we'll drop down to its on-clicked event, and we can just Control-C, box select that out, and we will set that to Shield 01A. Compile that and test it out. And now she can... might need to update its location a little bit, but now she can equip different shields. So good deal. One thing we want to do real quick. In our player blueprint, we want to go to our player base stats and add a variable called a shield defense mod. Make it an integer. And in our equipment screen, since she starts off with the wooden shield, we'll just default this to 2, and that'll be what the wooden shield is worth. So when she does equip it, we'll set shield defense mod to 2. Then we'll Control-C, Control-V, make sure you hook that to your player reference, and then set it for the iron shield to 4. Now the same thing with the other one. In our menu, we want to make sure our defense, getText5, we'll back both of those up, get shield defense modifier, integer plus integer, and boom. So now, when you open your menu, it's automatically to 4, because she's got that shield. My iron shield, now it's at 6. Now I equip my sword, which looks like it needs to go back. What is it with all these swords? I thought they were in good places. Come here, wooden sword. We'll drop you back too, why not? Back a little bit and down. I don't know what happened there. Maybe I just need to move. You know what I should have done? I should have just moved that socket. But I'm stupid. But this works. So now we can equip that iron shield, steel sword. Now we can update our weapons. It's floating away from her. I think the other one was too. No, it's lined up pretty good. I'm gonna just move it in a little bit anyway. It'll work. At least it's changing, right? So, good deal. Well, that shield's huge, isn't it? I'm gonna just leave it this one for now. But yeah, so now we can change our equipment. Later on, we'll restrict it to where you have to find it in a treasure chest in order to open it, and make it to where until you find it, you don't know what it is, so it'll just be a question mark. But for now, we got our equipment menu going, so thanks for stopping by again. See y'all in the next one.